This is a 2007 Canon Powershot. It's not much. It's small, has 7.1 megapixels, but does boast optical zoom. I carried it with me for years until I got an iPod Touch in high school, which was actually worse. It's utterly dwarfed by a full-frame DSLR lens like the one I just used for that panning shot, and even more so by a medium format lens. Now this is my Hasselblad 500cm. It's big. Like, really big. It's technically my newest digital camera thanks to this 50 megapixel digital back. Takes a little bit to power on, but it is a powerhouse of digital photography on a film body, interestingly enough. And I recently got this lovely metered prism for it. And yeah, it is a total workhorse. I shot film on it for a few years and it fast became my favorite camera. I've also been using it as a seamless digital camera for product shoots and other things. This is the camera that the Canon Powershot has nightmares about. So why am I showing all of you this via a crappy voiceover recorded on a 50-year-old tape recorder? Well, we've all been told that gear does not make you a better photographer, and I'm not here to disprove that, but merely to illustrate. So no, my Hasselblad did not make me a better photographer, but using a Canon Powershot also doesn't make me a worse photographer. A lot of people would say that the greatest camera that you could possibly own is merely the one that you have on hand. This is a type element of an IBM Selectric typewriter, and I have a lot of these. I actually run a business that specializes in servicing typewriters, and if you've watched my YouTube channel for any length of time, you know all about that because I post a gratuitous amount of typewriter stuff. So today I'm going to take some basic product photos of this type element and list it for sale. So we're going to start by shooting the Canon Powershot, and I'm going to use a nice colored backdrop to make things pop, as well as a tiny tripod. And I'm going to try and frame things the same way as I did with the Hasselblad later. And a lot of people are telling me or asking me that they really want to see how I do my product photography, so I guess this is it, guys. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. My terrible, terrible setup using construction paper and cheap lights that I found on Amazon. Oh no, no memory card. That's okay. Yeah, that slot looks very empty, so I'll just take the one out of my Hasselblad. It's a Sony Tough card, which is totally not overkill. And we'll slam that tripod plate right back on there and get back to shooting. So, sorry for the short delay. This tends to happen quite a lot. It's embarrassing. And there we go again. You're kidding me. So I got this Kodak card. It's about 15 years old. My first SD card ever. Well, actually second. My first was 500 megabytes. But anyway, this is a simple camera. It does have a macro setting, so we're going to choose that. And it didn't work the first time. So, time for some off-camera troubleshooting. Okay, and I think we're good. Now we don't want high ISO because that creates too much noise, so we're going to change that to auto where it should select a slower speed automatically. Now there are also 0 manual controls on this camera, so we just hold to focus, snap the photo, and that's that. Now the other thing we can do to try and get a sharper image is to pull the camera back and zoom in on the product. Now these cameras are usually designed to zoom since that was a major selling point. Anyway, I forgot to videotape that, so now it's time to get the Hasselblad on the tripod, which is a little bit finicky. The Hasselblad is a very big camera, and as you might be able to tell, this tripod is very not big. So the lens here is a Carl Zeiss 80mm CF, and it has a close focus of 3 feet. Which is not ideal for taking a macro shot of anything, so we're going to use the 55mm extension tube, and that will allow me to focus way closer. Next, I'll add a cable release to minimize camera shake. Now the interesting thing about the Powershot is it has an electronic shutter, so there is no introduced mechanical shake when you take the photo, other than your finger pressing the button. So looking in the finder, we can see the type element in focus, but the depth of field is super shallow, So, try saying that 3 times fast. I'm going to meter and select a smaller aperture. F16 sounds pretty nice, and that should give me enough depth to get most of what I want in focus to be actually in focus. So we power it on, lock up the mirror, and take our first photo. Now, I'm not currently recording sound, so I'll try and match the sound effects to you in post so you can hear that wonderful, wonderful sound. And it turns out I have no memory card. Nope, I do have a memory card. It's in there. I just had to change the whole backup, whatever. Wow, this is such a mess. Anyway, yes, another memory card issue. That's wonderful. Turns out I'm also underexposed, so I might as well turn down the ISO while I'm at it. 400 is pretty good, and we're also going to increase the shutter speed, so we're at, lower it. So we're about a quarter of a second here, shooting f16 at ISO 400. And we lock up the mirror again, take the shot, and that one's pretty nice. But it is a little bit high up on the frame, so we're going to do some camera adjustments and take one more shot. I believe this is at a half second, and it is really nice. We're going to do a quick double check of the focus on the back of the camera, and then we're going to hit the computer and see if I can't download some sort of screen capture software that will actually work. Okay, so I'm going to drag a few of my things into place here, and we're going to review the Canon images first. And right off the bat, we can see that the image we used to zoom on has terrible resolution. It's really bad. Nothing is in sharp focus, it looks like mud, and it's just absolutely terrible, and something that I would consider to be unusable. So moving on to the macro photo, this one is remarkably better. It has decent sharpness and detail, and I think it's a fine photo for product shoots. It's pretty well rounded, the color is good, the lighting is good, and it's sharp, and that's, I think, the biggest thing when you're shooting product. Next up is the Hasselblad JPEG. We're not going to be doing RAW here because I think that's an unfair comparison, and immediately I noticed that the depth of field is a bit too shallow up front, but in the other areas, the detail is stunningly sharp. The depth of field is easily fixable by taking another photo, and I'm surprised that I didn't notice that as I reviewed it on the back of the camera, but it's not really necessary to reshoot that now. One of the biggest downsides of higher resolution is that you can also see all of the little dust flecks on top, but overall it's a good shot. So I'm pulling these both into my editor now to try and size these closer to one another and see if I can't get those colors a little bit more even, because we can see that the colors on the Canon photo are just a little bit off. So once that's done, we'll pull these up side by side, and I'm not sure how much editing I'm actually going to show in the video, but not much can be done about the Canon's color. That's above my pay grade. On its own, it's a good enough photo, and you'd never notice that the color is not accurate. But the Hasselblad, on the other hand, is very vibrant. Here we're working with Hasselblad's natural color solution software that gives some of the most true-to-life colors of any camera system, and it looks great. It does bother me that I missed focus slightly, and that's something that's going to be rare when you're working with autofocus, but totally fixable if I wasn't so lazy. Now let's zoom in on both of these, and immediately you can see where the medium format shines. The resolution and detail in difference is immense, and when you're shooting product, you really want good detail. I'd go so far as to say that the Canon is probably good enough, as most people are likely going to view this on their phone. And this is kind of the situation where you'll hear the phrase enlarged to show texture. And you can't really enlarge the Canon photo, but you can really see the texture in the Hasselblad photo, and I guess a little bit in the Canon shot as well. So we're looking in areas for detail, for comparison, and there really isn't much of a comparison once you get close enough. One photo is obviously of a better quality, but at a distance and given the format that these will be viewed at, I think it's totally fair to say that the Canon did a good job. So let's pull up the website now. This is my typewriter business, and on my shot page I have a lot of pictures from the Hasselblad and shots, including several on film, like this one right here on Portra 800. Now over to the Add a Product page, we're going to start to upload the description and the images of the type element. We're going to title it first, and I completely forgot what type style this is, and it looks like it's Prestige Pica 72, which is a very standard 10-point classic type style. And then we're going to upload our images. And I'm going to go with the Canon image just to prove a point, and honestly it really is good enough for these purposes. And then we price it. I'm going to price this at about $5, And we're also going to add a shipping weight, so that should calculate automatically my shipping, also to about $5, and that would be for domestic shipping. And that should be it. We'll publish this, and I'm going to reload my shop page, and I will move it up from the bottom at the end. So we're just going to scroll down really quick and see how that photo turned out. And I think it looks very nice. You can add it to the cart from here and then go to checkout, and the thumbnail image in the checkout also looks nice. So do I do that? Yes, I do. So go to cart, and there's the thumbnail image. And I think that's good. I will upload both of these photos to that if you want to go and view them, and I'll link it in the description, and I'll also put those two photos at the end of the video. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, if you have any suggestions or requests on what you want to see, I know somebody asked for me to do a video on how I create my typewriter videos. I will certainly do my best to oblige. I am not going to say that dumb subscriber thing.